Hey everybody, welcome back. So it's just getting started, and as luck would have it, while I was standing here getting the camera set up, a coyote just ran right behind me, up over the logs over there, and man, he was so close. I wish I would have caught him coming the other direction. But anyway, we're gonna take you guys on a tour of Hayden Valley out here in Yellowstone today on Intrepid Photography. Do you have a natural fascination with nature? Then come along with us as we explore some magnificent landscapes and captivating wildlife. My name is Tim, and I'm a nature and wildlife photographer based here in western Wyoming, also a guide at Grand Teton and Yellowstone National Parks. You're invited to join us as we dive into the diverse and unique ecosystems of the greater Yellowstone area here on Intrepid Photography. So this is really one of my favorite spots in the park. Hayden Valley, we're just north of Yellowstone Lake. We're actually sitting here looking at the Yellowstone River right now. And this is one of the two spots that are really well known for wildlife. We've got Hayden Valley here, we go up over Mount Washburn, and then Lamar Valley's on the other side of that. And that's where you see a lot of the really big bison herds and things like that. But we do have bison herds down here as well. We've got wolf packs. We've got, of course, the coyote that you seen running by here a little while ago. And you guys will notice the whole time I'm out here, my head's kind of on a swivel because the bears haven't denned down yet. And, you know, we've still got to stay alert. We still got to make sure that these wildlife aren't sneaking up on us, because this is a perfect example. They're not really afraid of us out here, and if they decide they want to come through, they're going to come through. But one of the things that I'd like to point out to you guys that you'll see out here, most of the geothermal stuff is over on the west side of the park, kind of southwest, going between Old Faithful and Mammoth Hot Springs. But we do have some of those features over here, just like across the Yellowstone right there. There's some fumaroles, which are steam vents. The name for them is fumaroles, so when you hear that word, that's what it means. It's just a steam vent. It's an area where water gets flash boiled underground. It finds cracks through the surfaces and it comes up. And you can see here, kind of a close look, these things are scattered all over the park, and they're not always static. You know, sometimes these will die off, the water supply will leave, you know, cracks will form, it'll go someplace else, and a new one will pop up somewhere else. So, you know, you make them out here one day, and those are there, and the next day it may be gone. So it's a really cool spot, and it's one of the things that I really like about this place, particularly in the summertime too, is that, you know, when you're out here, you can get some really good photographs of the bison as they're, you know, standing in front of these geothermal features. Kind of shows off a couple of the different features of the park at the same time. You know, the geological stuff and the wildlife. It's really cool. And we're at a place right now. It's about mid-October. It's a nice warm 30 degrees out here. And this week, you know, as you can see, we got some snow now. And this week's supposed to be a lot of snow on and off. So this is going to be one of our last chances of the year where we can freely move about out here, because this area of the park closes down in November. And it stays closed throughout the winter. You can still come out to these places, but you've got to be guided. You've got to have special vehicles and so forth, special permits. So we're really going to take advantage of this next couple weeks, weather permitting, because if the weather does get bad, they'll still close these parts down. As a matter of fact, the road in this morning was closed down, and they had just opened it up about the time I got to Grand Teton. So I was really happy about that. I didn't think we was going to be able to make it out here today. So I guess while we're standing here, and I'm really fortunate right now because this spot's off the road, and I don't have any people milling around. I'm going to talk to you for just a second kind of about the stuff that I carry with me. You guys that see me out and about and so forth, I have people coming up all the time asking me if I'm a ranger or whatnot. And I'm not. I don't do anything out here for appearances. It all serves a purpose. Now, when you're coming out here, if you're going to be in your cars and driving around and whatnot, and, you know, just staying close to your vehicles with the wildlife, then you don't need a lot of stuff. You can be just fine with your camera and some common sense. the thing about what I do is coming out here and doing the wildlife photography is I'm, going and pursuing these animals as much as I legally can, trying to get those good shots, trying to get, to the minimum safe distance to where I can get the best photographs of them and the best videos and capture them doing their thing the best I can. And that means that I've got to jump away from my vehicle sometimes, and I might be, 100 feet away from it. I might be a mile away from it. And anytime you're out in grizzly country and you're far enough away from your vehicle to where you can't get to it in time if one of them comes at you, it's highly recommended to ensure that you've got bear spray on you. At the very least, what I carry when I'm out here, because I don't know when I'm going to be going off the beaten path or whatnot, of course, I've got bear spray. It's readily accessible. The pants that I wear have got a slot where it fits perfectly down here. So if I'm out, something comes out that I didn't see, I can pull the safety clip off of that thing before I ever pull it out of my pocket and have it right there. Now, if for some reason that doesn't work, then I've got my sidearm handy. And that's always a last resort. Bear spray is about 95% effective out here. So if I get out and I get this pulled up and I get a shot right in the face of this guy, he's going to turn around and he's going to leave me alone. But just on the off chance, worst case scenario, if that doesn't work, then I can drop that and I can draw my sidearm. So we've got the main countermeasure, which is bear spray, and I've got my backup. If worse comes to worse, and I've got to, if I've got to make the decision whether I'm going to live or the bear's going to live, I'm going to live. So anyway, that's the stuff that I carry with me when I'm out. I've also, I found this battery pack right here on Amazon for camera batteries. It's really nice. It holds 4 of them. You don't have to fumble around in your pockets for it. When the battery goes dead, you can just reach in, pull it out. And I've even got them marked. I got these little stickers on them. Got a green one on one side and a red one on the other side, so that when I put them back in there, when I swap them out, if it's dead, I'll turn the red side up. So when I look down again, I know which ones are dead, which ones are good. Another thing that I really recommend that everybody keep when you're out here is a really good flashlight. Now these things will save your butt. If you're out here, especially in the fall as the days start to get shorter and whatnot, if you're out and you've got to stop and get out of your vehicle for some reason, you'll find that there is no ambient light out here at all. Especially if there's no full moon out or anything like that, it's pitch black, and you really need to know what's out there when you get out of your vehicle. And so typically what I do is anytime I'm driving up here in the dark, driving home in the dark, I got to pull over for any reason and get out of the vehicle, I'll stop, hit both sides of the road with the flashlight, check the wood lines, make sure that I'm not getting out and there just happens to be a bear there, And it's not even so much the bears, but when you get into a season like elk rut and stuff like that, if there's a rutting elk close to you out there too, these animals can all see at night really well. We can't. So we've got to be able to find where they're at. So the flashlight stays on me all the time. Anytime I'm out in the parks, the bear spray stays on me, and the pistol stays on me. And not even for me. If something else happens out here, and I've got the ability to help somebody with it, then I've got that option. Now I know I talk about that a lot so far. You've heard a lot about bear sprays and bear attacks and all that stuff, and I don't want you guys thinking that that's something that happens all the time, but it is something that can happen, and it's one of the most important things is to make sure that you've got some kind of a countermeasure on you, so that if it does happen, you can at least defend yourself to some degree. Now, as far as camera gear goes, real quick, this setup that I've got, I really like it, especially for out here, because these valleys, you can be a mile, 2 miles off from something, and if you're coming out here, with the 600 millimeter lens or something, you'll be able to see them, but you're just really not going to be able to get in on them at some of those distances that we deal with out here. So I'm using the Canon R5 Mark II. It's one of the newer Canon cameras. It's a dual sensor. It's got great in-body image stabilization. It's got a 45 megapixel sensor, so it means you can really crop in well on things. And the lens that I'm running is the 200 to 800 RF lens, and with that I've got the 1.4 teleconverter on there, so that gives me a total reach of 1120 millimeters out here. So, you know, if I'm sitting here and I've got an elk on the other side of the hill that I want to record, you know, I can get in enough to where I can get a good clear picture of them with that. And it works really well too, even when we're out on tours, because you'll see a lot of people with spotting scopes that they attach their cell phone to and stuff like that. This is really popular out in the field because I can, you know, turn the phone on here, turn the camera on, and then wake the phone up. And I'm going to reconnect this, and I'm going to kind of show you guys what I do when I'm out in the field. And it'll take it a second to connect. But instead of having that small scope to go through, I can have the viewfinder on the camera come through my phone. It's a Z Fold, Android Z Fold 6 phone. So it gives me a nice big screen to work off of. So anything that I'm looking at here on the camera, I can get a nice big picture of it on this monitor right here on the phone. And it's so cool for when I'm out, you know, and we're just spotting animals. You know, say for instance it was a grizzly or something up on that hillside right there. You know, I can lock into this, I can get a focus on him, and then I can hit my additional zoom, my 1.6 zoom button on there, and I can get right in, and we can all sit there together and watch that animal go about his business. It's a really good for wildlife viewing, and then I can still get videos of it and photos and things like that, which you can't do with the spotting scope. So I'm really happy with this setup. I think it's about as good as you can get without going completely broke. It's one of the things that I kind of maxed out the credit cards on when I came out here, was making sure that I had the best gear that I could reasonably afford, because we're in one of the best places in the world for photography. Plus, like I said, it really does help with the tours, and you know, some of the things that I capture here I can send off to the folks that are out with us in the tours and all that. So it's really a good piece of gear. As far as the tripod and everything goes over here, yeah, I'm not going to go into name dropping for name brands and all that other stuff, but you know, just it's a nice sturdy tripod. I've got the fluid head on here. It's one of the pricier ones, but it's well worth it, because when you really get leveled in and you start doing video, even with the image stabilization on this thing, when you're out at 1120 millimeters, it can be hard to get smooth video. You'll see a lot of stuff where it's, you know, looks like it's a little bit shaky and whatnot, maybe warps out a little bit, because sometimes it takes some effort to really keep this stuff smooth. These fluid heads help a lot. And one thing that I added to this that a lot of people may not think about is I've got a swivel base on here as well, because if you've ever tried to set a tripod up on uneven ground and try and manipulate the legs so that they're all level, it can take a lot of time. I can set this thing down on the ground, not worry about it, and then I can come back up here, undo this, and this swivel head right here has got a bubble level on it, so I can get this thing level, and then everything else is gravy from there. Then I can come around, it's going to be level all the way around, 360 degrees, plus adds just enough resistance through the fluid inside of there to keep some pretty smooth video. So let's jump off of here. I'm going to run over and see if we can find kind of a semi-private spot near all those bison over there, and see if we can hang out there for a bit. Now, this is something out here that you'll see pretty frequently, is a lot of the animals are collared because biologists track their movements. And I didn't set everything up over here. It's pretty crowded on the side of the road, but you can see on the hillside, these guys are all resting up. Winter's coming and they know it, and the bison have a pretty tough time out here. They spend most of their time out here plowing through the snow, foraging for food, and that's something that we're going to come out and document some this winter as well. You'll remember this little guy from the beginning that snuck up on me while I was setting the camera up. Well, after we got done with the bison, I went down the road just a little ways and I seen him hunting out in the field, so I decided to jump out of the truck and go sit down in the snow with him and kind of capture him doing his thing. The coyotes out here, you'll typically see them by themselves. Every now and then you'll see them in groups. Most of the time when you see them, they're going to be out foraging the fields just like this. They're looking for voles and little rodents, anything that they can eat, and they do pretty well. As you can see, this one, he's pretty well fed. It doesn't look like he's missed a meal, but it's always entertaining to watch these guys. And it's amazing how sharp their senses are, to where they can just get within a few feet of something, hear it, feel it, and zero in on it, and he comes back up with lunch. So he sat out in this field for the longest time. I think he probably caught 4 or 5 of them before he was done. But then I was just about finishing up with him when someone walked up and let me know that there was a wolf pack just up the road in Hayden Valley here, up by the Trout Creek area. So needless to say, I jumped in the truck and went out there and got set up on them. And this is kind of pretty typical for what the viewing experience is out here in Yellowstone. Since it is such a large place, most of the time these animals are well off the road. So you need really good optics to be able to capture these guys. I measured this out on the map and it was about half a mile out where these guys were at. But my best assumption here is that these are several members of the Wapiti pack, which frequent Hayden Valley. They've got a den out there, and looks like they were on probably a bison calf. I wasn't around when they took it down, if they took it down, whether it was a natural causes or a hunt. But either way, these are really popular spots out here in the parks. Anytime there's a carcass down, whether it's a bison or an elk, really frequently you'll see people getting some really good videos of bears on the carcasses, just like one that I had gotten not long ago out on the eastern side of the park, a bear that was on a carcass for a couple days. But these guys, the wolves of course will compete for the food, and these guys are really a controversial topic out here in the region. Not necessarily in the park. In the park, there's a lot of people. They all love the animals, all love to see them. But once you get outside of the park, it's kind of open season on the wolves. And that's one of the tinderbox topics, of course, that we're going to end up touching on in future videos. But the last gray wolves were killed out here in Yellowstone in the 20s. And they were effectively gone from the park up until their reintroduction in 1995, where they brought several individuals from Canada to repopulate this area. Now, you'll hear a couple different trains of thought on this, one of which is that they did a huge service for the park ecosystem by managing the elk population, because the elk were growing in numbers, they were static, they were over-consuming some of the vegetation out here and impacting the ecosystem. And then when the wolves came in here, it scattered the elk, got them more into their natural movement patterns and things like that, kept them off of individual spots where the vegetation could grow back. And of course that trickles down to all different kinds of species. And you'll hear a lot of people really concerned about their impact on the elk population. Like I said, I'm not going to get into a lot of detail on that here. We will in future videos. We're going to get some subject matter experts in and really have some good discussions, digging deep into what their actual impacts are, and get some opinions from some folks that don't particularly care for them either. But it's always a great experience to sit out here and just watch these wild packs live their lives. They're beautiful animals, and this was a really good experience to have. Okay, so one more quick stop on our way out of Hayden Valley now. This is another spot right off the Yellowstone River, picnic area. Nice place to catch some wildlife too, because we got a lot of good open spaces. But it's about 3:45. Stopping, make me some coffee before I head back down towards Grand Teton. I want to try and catch that with some sunlight still. 6:45 roughly is when the sun goes down out here. So if there's anything running around before the sun goes down out there, we'll be sure to catch that too. If anything exciting happens, I'll be sure to throw that in the end of the video. Till then, we will see you guys next time. Don't forget, jump down, get subscribed to the channel, share it around. We got a lot of stuff we're going to be doing. You guys have an outstanding day, and we'll talk to you next time on Intrepid Photography.